As of the recording of this video, we're about a few weeks into the season of the Splicer, and this is definitely a topic that has been covered in other lore channels, but, it's time for me to take a swing at it. Obviously, we will be learning more dark powers. We are not going to stop at Stasis. It will be interesting to see how far we keep learning these aspects and fragments of this subclass, but clearly, we're going to get more. So here is my spin foil heavy list of the top 10 potential teachers of a new dark subclass. This is Video Game Crosstalk. I hope you enjoy this Destiny discussion video. Alright, so obviously I am not going to put any conjecture or speculation into what type of subclass we may be getting as far as new dark powers are concerned. There's theories abound on that. But to have a little fun, I want to explore what are the possibilities for teachers of these new subclasses. Because for the subclasses of light, the arc, solar, and void, those are just kind of known. Those are given to us by the Traveler, and sure, we had experts and people who were particularly skilled in those particular element types that were able to teach us, but who's going to teach us the dark subclasses? And for Stasis, if that was Elsie Bray, she was our guide in that. She's the one who introduced it to us. She's the one who is currently the, I guess I'll call her vendor for the subclass. So who else could potentially be a vendor or the next teacher of a new dark subclass? And this list that I compiled, a nice little top 10 to round it all out, is based on two, I guess, project management concepts. And they are subject matter expert and resource availability. So what do I mean by those two? Well, subject matter expert should be pretty self-explanatory. It's someone who has experience or who is regarded as an expert for a particular skill set or content knowledge. And as for resource availability, this one's a little trickier within the game of Destiny because there are plenty of people that we know of, plenty of NPCs who are definitely subject matter experts, but I feel like they already have a significant enough role currently within the game where they're already occupied. They don't have the time. They don't have the availability to take on additional roles and responsibilities. So someone such as Eris Morn, I feel that she's already the location vendor for the Moon or Luna as part of the Shadowkeep expansion. Mara Sav, I believe she is far too busy handling things with the Awoken people and whatever secret schemes she happens to be creating, wielding, crafting in the background, and who knows when we're going to see her again. So those are examples of NPCs where I feel they've already got responsibilities, they're already doing stuff, they don't have time to be our next subclass vendor or guide. So let's start this list off. The first person on this list, or duo of people, and I'm just going to get this out of the way immediately, is Anna Bray and Rasputin. When we last saw these two, was in the Season of Arrivals, or at the end of Season of Arrivals, I should say, where the various planets got swallowed up. And Rasputin in particular is, last we know, kind of encoded in an engram, mostly, with I believe a purple light just kind of humming through. So Rasputin in particular, I feel, has the potential for a dark subclass because Rasputin has achieved a lot. I have a previous video about the power of music and using music as a weapon, and Rasputin has kind of tapped into this with his music boxes that we found when Mars was still a location we could find. We could use music to locate these music boxes, and in another area, or at the end of the Arecibo adventure, we could see that Rasputin was using music to disrupt the Vex. So Rasputin has tapped into the power of music, and all of the things that Rasputin is able to do transcends anything else that is currently in our system to such amazing degrees. So when Rasputin inevitably comes back, there's a possibility that he's going to be able to tell us something, and Anna is going to be our liaison for that relationship. Originally, I thought Shin Malphur would be a potential teacher for new dark powers, since he has been working with the Drifter in order to draw out those who may worship the dark. Because as a Shadow of Yore, he's been experimenting with dark powers. However, as I was reading the lore book, the Book of Unmaking, I was reminded that the author of this book, or the person who is mainly in charge with its translation and inscriptions, is Tevin Gray, another member of the Shadows of Yore that is working with both Shin Malphur and the Drifter. And I'm thinking more for Tevin Gray, since Shin Malphur is already the man with the golden gun, and he is the renegade, and he is the one who's hunting down those who would take the dark powers and the dark worship a little too far, while Tevin Gray, arguably, has more competency in the dark powers, and he's got time on his hands. He's the one who was doing the translating and the transcripting into our common speech from Hive text. So, seems like a subject matter expert to me, and since he is neither running Gambit nor hunting down those who would take the dark powers too far, he's got the resource availability. As we are currently in the season of the Splicer, of course a lot of the other lore masters and lore nerds such as myself in the community, we always kind of assumed that Siva might become a subclass or Splicer. And right now, Mythrax is our current seasonal vendor, and he's given us a Splicer gauntlet. And if you read some of the additional lore that's within this current seasonal items, there is a lot that we can do with that Splicer gauntlet that is a bit on the otherworldly side. Can we expand that any further? Can we really tap into any machine network and manipulate reality around us in any way? Can we really become a master of this Elixni art? I don't know. There's definitely a possibility. And if there is anyone who would be sharing that knowledge with us, that would be Mythrax, at least as far as known NPCs are concerned. The next three I kind of combine a little bit, so numbers 4, 5, and 6. We'll just call them the swallowed vendors, and they are Asher, Sloan, and Brother Vance. So I kind of group them together because they are were the location vendors for the 3 planets that got swallowed by the darkness in Beyond Light, or at the top of Beyond Light, and that would be Io, Titan, and Mercury, respectively. And it really all kind of comes down to, we don't know what happened to them. They just kind of disappeared. The planets just kind of disappeared. Where did they go? And last we saw these 3, Asher, he was running his little experiments on the pyramid above Io, and he decided that he was going to hole up at the entrance of the Pyramidion. He's just going to hold up right there, and he is going to wait for the darkness to come to him. Sloan was on Titan, able to find a mech suit that she was able to wield her light through. So we now have a Guardian in a mech suit that decided to make her final stand against the darkness on a weird ocean rig. And then there's Brother Vance, where, wow, Brother Vance went from the annoying fanboy to certified badass in a single scene. And I highly recommend reading up on that lore as he's traversing through the Infinite Forest as a lightless mortal, I may add. his doppelganger, his dark doppelganger appears behind him, finishes a song that he was singing, and he reaches up underneath his doppelganger's blindfold and thrusts his thumbs into his eyes, saying, "Such a shame you still have eyes." So, wow, okay, what's going on there? When are we seeing Brother Vance again? And when he comes back, what stories is he going to be able to tell us? What is he going to be able to share? And that goes along with the other two as well, Ashmere and Sloan. When they finally come back, either zero time will have passed for them, or they're going to come back and say, "Yo, I've seen things, bro. I've seen things." The last four, I'm going to get a little bit more serious with. So we had fun with the first half of these, but the next four, I am actually very serious. These have very high potential for me. Aside from Anna and Rasputin, which just seems like an obvious one to me, just kind of get that one out of the way. But these next four, I feel have really high potential. So at number 7 on this list, Callus. Not exactly sure what's going on with Callus. I don't trust much of what's going on with him and what I read, just because he's just crowded with too much mystery. And he's still active as far as I can tell. And this is one of those things where even if you find a dead body, still not really sure with some of these characters. So Callus has been on his Leviathan. The Leviathan has disappeared. But here's the thing. We found the Glycan. And earlier today, I had planned this video out a while ago, but literally this morning, I had this casual observation and this bit of wonderment. Upon the Glycan, we see these weird spore plants. And these are the same spore plants that are on Drifter's derelict when we load into a Gambit match. And Glycan is the name of an ancient Greek snake god. And the symbol associated with Gambit is a snake. So, is there a connection there? I don't know. But additionally, Callus has been messing around with the Crown of Sorrows. First, he tried to create some type of hive ogre or something to wear the crown, and that went horribly, horribly wrong. And now on the Glycan, he tried to use the Scorn as another vessel for the darkness, wearing the Crown of Sorrows. And now the Crown of Sorrows is in the possession of the Vanguard. So, is Callus going to come back, see that we have the crown, and say, "You know what? Guardians are pretty powerful, and you've already been shown that you can use darkness as well as the light. Why don't we give that Crown of Sorrows a fit?" What do you say? At number 8, I have the name Teox. Now, I do have a video discussing Teox, about how she is still out there. And again, this is a name that cuts pretty deep in Destiny lore. A name that is only found, well, mostly found in the original Books of Sorrow that came out in Destiny 1's The Taken King. And Teox was a mentor, or the teacher, almost an au pair for the Hive Gods when they were still the Krill, and fought the 3 sisters all through their development into their ascension into Hive Godhood. And Teox is still out there. Teox is actually the reason why the sisters, Oryx, Savathun, and Zivorath, took on their deal with the worms and took in their larvae, so that they could bide themselves enough time to seek vengeance upon Teox. So Teox is the reason why the Hive Gods actually exist. And if we are able to find Teox, would she be able to teach us new powers in order to take on the Hive and finally defeat them? At number 9, we have Akka. And Akka is the name of one of the worm gods. And I bring this up for a very particular reason. In the weblore entry, Immolant 2, Osiris is looking for answers, and he's got Sagira with him. And they look for answers during their massive voyage and just kind of flitting around the galaxy, they go back to the Dreadnought to find some answers. And when they go upon the Dreadnought, it's in disrepair. It's not looking too hot. This is how it's described. It is a rat king of fading ideas, racked with failing connections and dying interpretations, as Akka suffers a slow, final death, damaged beyond repair. Okay, so that means the Dreadnought actually is Akka in some way or form. And this is actually described all the way back in the original Books of Sorrow when Oryx scrimshawed Akka to create his Dreadnought. And scrimshawed is basically a term, fancy term, old-timey naval term, for you decorated a ship, more or less. So the Dreadnought is actually a part of Akka. And when we're dealing with worm gods and the sword logic and ascended realms, things take a really long time to die. And this confirms that, at least at the time, when Oryx boarded the Dreadnought, Akka was still technically alive. And as I said before, until we see death, until we have some confirmation of a final death, that thing is still alive. And for the way it's been treated, Akka probably isn't all that happy with the Hive. So would Akka offer us some type of agreement or union or some type of arrangement? And through Akka, could we learn some new dark powers? And finally, the best for last. And it's also kind of the most cliche and meme-worthy, but I'm going to throw it out here anyway. And yes, I'm totally serious about the plausibility of this character. And yes, it is Savathun. Here's why. Savathun wants out of her agreement with the worm gods. She's been trying to find ways to circumvent the sword logic, to circumvent her arrangement with feeding her worm. She knows it isn't working, so she's looking for ways to circumvent that. Additionally, she really doesn't care about humanity. Humanity's just kind of in the way. And if she needs to destroy humanity to achieve her final goal, then so be it. So the question is, what is her final goal? And how far is she willing to go? Her final goal, as I mentioned with Teox, is Teox's destruction. There's the potential that if Teox is killed, will their covenant with the worm gods be fulfilled? Will she still be beholden to the worm gods once she finally exacts her vengeance upon Teox? And how far would Savathun go? Pretty much as far as she would need to. Would she try to find a way to commune with the Guardians, with the Vanguard, and say, if you help me achieve my goal, I will leave you alone and I will perish, but I just need help destroying Teox. And to help me reach my personal ends, I gift you this power. Yes, it is absolutely spinfoil, and I have little to nothing to back that up on, except for her pattern of behaviors, but she is the aspect of cunning, so who knows with that. And that is all the time I have for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know and drop a like. If you would like to support this channel but can't think of anything to leave as a comment, write the words New Darkness for whatever new dark power we may learn in the future. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to hear more lore explained in this fashion, and keep up to date with my regular podcast, Video Game Crosstalk, the podcast of gamers talking tech science and whatever else comes to mind. Also be sure to check out my other projects, including Destiny Lore Audiophile and Game Insider Magazine. Until next time, I'll see you in the tower.